on, guys, and welcome to Yoda Expedition. We got the 3rd gen Tundra here today, and we just installed a AFE Vulcan exhaust. Sounds really good, and I really like it. Let's go ahead and get this thing into the shop and show you how to do it. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get this AFE exhaust installed on the Tundra. We have it currently up on the lift. This is gonna make it obviously easier to get this job done. You can do this at home in your driveway, but in order to get the rear section of the exhaust out without cutting it, you are gonna have to jack up the back of your Tundra and let the rear suspension fully droop. That way you can articulate the exhaust pipe and get it out. So we're gonna go ahead, get underneath the Tundra, and we're gonna get that OEM exhaust taken out. So we're under the Tundra. I'm just taking some WD-40 and I'm squirting it into the rubber exhaust hanger. It's gonna help it slip off a little bit easier. If you don't have a set of these pliers, I would highly suggest getting a set. I'll put the link down below on Amazon. This is going to make getting the exhaust hangers off so much easier. Before I got one of these, you'd be struggling with a flathead screwdriver, stabbing yourself, trying to get the exhaust hanger off, and that makes it 100 times easier. So I'm gonna start taking these bolts out here on the exhaust. Pretty sure everything is gonna be a 14mm, so I got an extension as well. We're gonna start and take off these 2 spring bolts up here on the cat. Also, we have another set on this side. We're gonna take those off as well. I'm gonna unbolt everything and leave everything hooked up to the exhaust hangers, and then we can go ahead and take those off one by one and slowly drop down the exhaust. So those 4 bolts that we just took off here on the front, we are gonna be reusing those, so make sure to hang on to them. We also have 2 14mm back here behind the muffler, and then that's pretty much gonna be it for hardware. So we got all the bolts and nuts taken off that we need to. So the next thing we're gonna do is start taking off the exhaust hangers. So you have one big piece that's gonna be going from the back of the muffler all the way up to the front of the Y pipe where we disconnected it from the cats. And then you have this piece here that's gonna go from here up and over the rear axle and then all the way to the tailpipe. So this is the one that if you don't have the truck lifted up, it's gonna be difficult to get it out up and around the axle, and you'll have to probably cut it if you don't have the truck up in the air. So we're gonna go ahead and start taking off some of these hangers and get these 2 pieces off. All right, go ahead and just get this one off. With ease, that comes off. So we have that one, and then we have another one back here. I'll hold this. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere, but I don't want it to fall. All right, now with both of those out, we'll go ahead and fish this through. All right, we're working on getting the rear section out, and this is a little difficult to get moved in the proper position to get it up and over the axle. So we currently have it swung down here on the ground, as you can see. Now the hardest part is getting this past this cross member here. There we go. All right, we got this out. It's gonna take a little bit of time in maneuvering, but you can see what we had to do is get it completely flipped over and get this flange to not be hitting on the cross member. And then once you have that flipped over, you can get it out. It's gonna take a little bit, but it's doable. So now we're gonna go ahead and take this piece off. Obviously, this is probably gonna be pretty heavy and it's pretty big. So if you're doing this on the ground, probably put like a jack stand or something underneath the muffler to help hold it. If you have it up on the lift, grab yourself a second person, or if you have a trans jack or something, I would put it under there to hold it. So we're gonna go ahead now and get the exhaust hangers off here. We have 2 back here, and I think that's about it. And then we'll go ahead and get this down. Thing's massive. So we have the OEM exhaust here laid out next to the new AFE one. You can see drastic difference between the muffler size. Piping is pretty much the same size except for up here where it mounts to the cats. This is a little bit bigger than on the factory one. And then obviously the AFE one is multiple pieces, so it should make installation a little bit more easier, but with all those clamps you do have more room for leakage, so you want to make sure everything is put together properly, everything is good and tight. And yeah, so let's go ahead and start putting the front pipe up, and then we'll work our way to the back. We're going to leave everything loose and just get everything kind of hanging there, and then once we have everything up, we'll go back and retighten everything. So we're going to start with this Y pipe here. We're going to get this clamp on. We're just going to lightly put it in place. We want to still be able to move this stuff around so that we can get it exactly where we need it to be. So these are going to be a 15 mil. So we'll go ahead and snug this up just enough so that it stays, but I can still move this. Let's take this, get it up there. We'll use those spring bolts that we took off and get this hanging in place. All right, so we got the Y pipe in, we got those 4 bolts started, and this is kind of just hanging out here. Next thing we're gonna do is put the extension piece in here, and this is gonna be necessary depending on what model Tundra you have. So this is a crew cab with a 6.5 foot bed, so we're gonna be using the 15-inch extension piece. If you have a double cab with an 8-foot bed, then you're gonna want the longer piece that's included. So we're gonna go ahead and get that piece in next, and then we'll just keep working our way to the back. So we're going to put both of these pieces up together at the same time because it has the hangers on it. It's going to help just hold up everything that we just put in. It's going to help hold it up in place. So I'm going to clamp this, and then we'll put this onto what we have currently on the Tundra, and then we'll clamp it there as well. So anytime you take the exhaust off of something, you need to hear how it sounds with no exhaust. So that sounded pretty bad. All right, so now we know how it sounds with no exhaust. Let's go ahead and continue getting this AFE exhaust in place. So let's go ahead and hang this. With these previously sprayed with WD-40, it definitely helps getting these in place. Now we'll go ahead and get this slipped together. We can snug this down. Go ahead, put the muffler on. We'll get this hanger in there first. And now look at this. There we go. Make sure everything's in all the way. We'll get that snugged up. This one might be a little difficult just because it's way up there. You might find it easier to put this piece and that last piece we put on, put those together first and then put it up as one thing, but we'll see how this goes. All right, last piece to the puzzle. We'll go ahead and get this clamp on here. All right, so we got the whole exhaust all bolted up and hung into place. We're gonna go ahead now, start back at the front. We're gonna start tightening everything down from the front to the back. And then when we get back here, we'll just get this so that it's aligned nicely with the bumper, and we'll get this tightened down, and then we're finished. Last clamp here, and we should be good to go. All right, so now just go back over your bolts, make sure everything's good. Even though I thought everything was tight, we were putting some pressure up and down on the exhaust, and we found that some of them were actually still moving. So I hit those again. We're gonna go ahead now, drop it down. We can start it up and hear how it sounds. And probably about after 100 miles or so, with the heat cycles and stuff like that, we're gonna go over all of the bolts because they could loosen up. But let's go ahead and get the Tundra down and see how it sounds. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap up the install of the AFE Vulcan exhaust on 3rd Gen Tundra. And we showed you the comparison between the OEM one and this. It definitely sounds a lot better, gives it a little bit more life. I don't think it's too loud. It's not drony at all in the cabin when you're driving. I think it's just the perfect amount of noise to bring this V6 twin turbo to life. So if you guys want to grab one of these exhausts for your Tundra, you can head over to yodaexpedition.com. Hopefully this video helped you out with the install process. If it did, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you want to watch some more 3rd Gen Tundra content, and we'll see you guys in the next one.